Meanwhile, Fed Chief Ben Bernanke, he's going to begin holding full-blown televised news conferences in an effort to be more transparent and better explain his policies. The first one slated for April 27th. Good idea or not? And where is our economy headed? Wow. Joining us now, Beth Ann Bovino, senior economist, Standard & Poor's, Joe Lavorgna, chief U.S. economist, Deutsche Bank, and Robert McTeer, former president of the Dallas Fed. Joe and Bob are both CNBC contributors. Bob McTeer, let me go to you. In the days of real inflation fighting with Paul Volcker, the Fed never said anything. They didn't want to let anything go, and they wanted to surprise the markets. I want to ask you, is it better to surprise the markets, or is it better to come out and confess all to the markets, as Mr. Bernanke apparently wants to do?
Larry, traditionally I've dragged my feet on too much transparency, and have been sort of against opening up too much. However, the last 3 years have created so much confusion and wrong interpretations of Fed policy that I think that it's a positive thing now. It's a necessary thing now.
Beth Ann, on April the 27th, when we do get the first of those press conferences, to what extent will the Fed be able to articulate their views about what is going to happen with QE? Surely they can't wait until June, because QE2 is going to end on June the 30th. That would be too late, wouldn't it?
I think they're probably going to. Well, we are expecting them to finish QE2 and not do a QE3. So my guess is in their announcements, they're going to make it clear that this will probably be the final one.
How will they articulate that exactly, Beth Ann?
Well, I think they're going to be. They are already saying this is, in a sense, we're finalizing this round, and I think they will probably actually say that this will be the last, or they will certainly indicate that.
Not keep their doors open?
They will say, remember, even QE2 was, in a sense, always keeping their doors open. Remember, it was an intent, but it was not a required amount that they do the whole $600 billion. So my guess is they still will keep their doors open, but I do think, given transparency, they're going to hint very, very likely that they're not going to do anything.
Say, Joe Lavorgna, is it possible that Ben Bernanke, coming onto the TV screen like he's going to do, is he doing this to whack-a-mole the hawks who are opposing him? You know, Dick Fisher, keep quiet. Charles Plotzer, I'm sick to death of your sniping at me and my policies. Is that what he's going to do? A dovish Ben Bernanke whack-a-moling his critics inside the Fed?
It's possible, Larry. I would rather just they release the minutes with a few-day lag. Why wait 3 weeks? I think the problem with the press conferences is that people sometimes may have more questions than perhaps the chairman's willing to give. He possibly could slip up on something. He may not be able to necessarily convey the full extent of the views on the FOMC. I mean, transparency is nice, but sometimes it doesn't help if there's no new information. Yet he's going to be obligated to give a press conference. I'm more old school, I guess, and kind of like sometimes not telling the markets everything in real time.
The element of surprise. I'm trying to get Bob McTeer to come back to this, because maybe the markets should know everything, Bob. Then nothing the Fed does has any impact. A lot of people felt that was the problem in the early 2000s.
You want shock and awe, right?
Why not a little shock and awe? Remember, Volcker wouldn't give up anything. He wouldn't tell you anything. He'd blow a little smoke with his cigar at you. What's wrong with those good old days of surprise and shock and awe?
Well, I kind of like them, Larry, and what your previous guest just said really is meaningful, because you spend maybe an hour discussing the language of your statement. You probably spend more time discussing that language than you do on the decision. And then to go out there and start parrying with the press over it, it's going to be awfully hard for him to stick to the script and appear to be forthcoming.
Joe,
Larry, can I make a comment about that fourth quarter GDP number?
Please do.
It's very, very strong number. Nobody seems to have noticed.
I noticed, Bob.
Inventory depletion cut that number by more than half. Without that number would have been 6.7%. That's what real final sales were. Right. That's a very strong.
And we have very strong profits. I'm sorry, Mandy.
But will the first quarter, like January to March, however, of this year, considering all the new challenges that we've been faced with, such as spiking oil prices, what's happening in Middle East and North Africa, now Japan, of course, thrown into the equation, Joe, do you think that the economy will have to be I don't know, our estimates will have to be scaled back a little bit for the first quarter.
Mandy, that's what people have been doing. We chopped our number about a month ago from 4.5 to 3.8. We're very comfortable there. We think there will be, picking up on Bob's point, we think there'll be significant inventory rebuilding this quarter. We think the consensus of economists is missing that. And we think the economy is on a stronger glide path. The Q4 profit numbers are very solid. We're up 27% since the recession ended for corporate profit growth. That, as Larry would agree, is the mother's milk of an expansion.
It is, no question about it. Bob McTeer, real fast, as a former president of the Dallas Fed, as a former hawkish, anti-inflation, free market president of the Dallas Fed, I ask you, will the Fed end at QE2 or will they go to QE3?
They will end QE2.
All right.
They will have to say something about they can't allow the balance sheet to shrink too fast.
Well, yeah, he's going to have a whole press conference.
They're not going to describe any more ocean liners.
Okay.
No more ocean liners.
Okay. Thank you. All of you. Terrific stuff.